Hey guys, welcome to a new Yu-Gi-Oh! Gosnell's deck profile. Today I'll be running you through my actual tournament deck that I was using the majority of last format and I'm actually still using in the current format. So no doubt you guys have already worked out that it is a wind-ups deck, and yeah, I've top 8'd with this one at a tournament already and I love the way it runs. I've always liked the wind-up archetype, so yeah, let's get into the cards. Right, we'll start off. We've got 3 copies of Wind-Up Magician. Due to the hit on Wind-Up Carrier, this card has become crucial to all Wind-Ups players. Its combo with Wind-Up Shark is just absolutely incredible. It allows you to fill the field pretty much as soon as you play Magician. So yeah, so we've got 3 Magicians, and because you can't run Magician alone, we've got 3 copies of Wind-Up Shark. Wind-Up Shark is good for level manipulation. He's a level 4, but he can be a level 3 or a level 5. As long as I summon a Wind-Up, if I have Wind-Up Shark in my hand, I can summon him straight to the field, which is pretty much insane with Magician. As soon as you special summon your shark, you activate Magician's effect as well, so it's pretty much 3 for the price of 1 as long as you have a Magician and Shark in hand. And no wind-ups deck with it is complete without the Wind-Up Rat. The Wind-Up Rat allows you to recycle your wind-up cards. He's pretty much just a broken card, especially with Carrier, because it's just an endless cycle. You can constantly keep bringing more wind-up cards out, which allows you to go into any of your XZ summons, which for this deck is mainly level 3. Following up Wind-Up Rat, run 3 Wind-Up Rabbits. Wind-Up Rabbit is good for if you want to recycle your Magician's effects or even your Rat's effects. You can use Rabbit to banish other wind-ups other than itself. A lot of people forget about that fact. But yeah, he's really good for recycling your Rats or even your Magicians. It's just a really good play because you can use him for XZ material after you use his effect to banish another wind-up, which is usually helpful. I want to run 1 copy of Wind-Up Hunter. As much as he's not as effective anymore, I still like it if my opponent only has 1 card in their hand and I have the ability to discard it to the grave with his effect by sending it. I may as well do it because it makes him rely more on his draw. Because I run a lot of level 3 XZ monsters, 2 copies of Tour Guide. Tour Guide is still a great card in the format. She's an absolutely ridiculous card. Summon Tour Guide, special summon a level 3 Fiend type monster. Can be herself, so always handy. Because we got hit down to 2 Tour Guides, I'm running 1 copy of Tour Bus from the Underworld so that I can actually recycle my Tour Guide after using her effect, so I can actually get 2 Tour Guide effects off instead of just the 1. Without having to rely on summoning a Tour Guide, then Sangin, and leaving them vulnerable to attack. I run 2 copies of Snowman Eaters. Snowman Eater is a really good card. He's 1900 defense, which is very helpful in wind-ups, but the added effect of him flipping face up and destroying a monster is just invaluable. Allows you to get over really annoying cards. Just anything that you can't deal with, set a snowman and usually it's gone. Because effects are key in this format, 3 Effect Veilers. Effect Veiler is just one of the best cards. He's especially useful in the mirror match. I mean, you Veiler a Magician and it slows down the other wind-ups player for that 1 turn, which if you have the same set up in your hand and they don't have the Veiler, well, you're already up on field advantage, which is always useful. Alright, we'll move on to spells now. So I run a pretty standard lineup of spells for wind-ups, but yeah, I run a lot of the staple cards. So I run one copy of Monster Reborn, one Book of Moon, one Heavy Storm, one Dark Hole. These are basic staple cards that most decks use in the format nowadays, so I won't bother going into too much detail about those. I run one Pot of Avarice, just allows me to recycle my wind-ups because I put a lot of them in the grave really quickly, so it's always good to get them back into my deck. Of course, being a wind-ups player, I do run 3 copies of Wind-Up Factory. Wind-Up Factory is just brilliant for constantly keeping my hand presence. As long as I keep using wind-up effects and have wind-ups in the deck, I can constantly pull wind-up cards out of the deck into my hand, which is always useful if you can manage to get a couple of wind-up effects in a turn with maybe 1 or 2 factories. If you can summon a wind-up card, you can special summon a shark and go into another XZ, which is always good. Alright, because MST is such a good card in the format for just getting rid of random back row cards, I definitely have to say running 3 MST in wind-ups is always good. But yeah, I know a lot of guys don't like MST at 3 in wind-ups, but I find it very useful for me. Of course, because a lot of people are loving this setup in the format now, I run the Solemn Brigade. Solemn Warnings are just great for getting rid of anything that's a monster summon, and yeah, any other card you don't like the effect of, Solemn Judgment will do it for you. Also run 3 copies of Fiendish Chain. Fiendish Chain I run more so for the stopping them attacking me, more so than the removing of the effects, because I actually have effect failures for that. But the added bonus of removing the effect and having the card not attack is always useful for me. Of course I run 1 Mirror Force, 1 Compulse, and a Torrential Tribute. All 3 of these cards have their uses. Compulsory Evacuation is a good way to recycle your tour guides if they get veiled or chained, which no one likes their tour guide being vulnerable, so... Right, so we'll move on to the extra deck now. It's a relatively standard extra deck. I am sort of still wanting to add 1 more card to it, but for now we'll have to go with what I got. So start off, we've got Wind-Up Carrier Zenmaity. Zenmaity is probably the most hated wind-ups card because of the original loop under the old format where you could actually get rid of every card in your opponent's hand, but that's since been fixed. But other than that, still a great card. Detach material, special summon a wind-up from your deck. I mean, you can constantly keep recycling with rabbits, rats, whatever you want to do with it. Because occasionally you need a lot of defense, I do run 2 copies of Wind-Up Zenmains. He's pretty much a brick wall until your opponent can get over him, and if you can manage to summon 2 in a turn, there's not much that will get over 2 Zenmains in a turn, and it gives you time to draw into some better cards, set up your hand. I love this card, 1 Giga Brilliant. Giga Brilliant is a really good card in wind-ups. The ability to increase everything on the field by 300 permanently for just 1 material detach is a great bonus to wind-ups, having so many low attack monsters. 1 copy of Leviair. Leviair the Sea Dragon is a very useful card. In combination with Wind-Up Rabbit, you can banish your other wind-up cards, like say a Wind-Up Rat, XZ into a Leviair to bring the rat back, and then continue to special summon using Rat's effect. It just allows you to go into so many different combos. For now I'm running 2 copies of Leviathan Dragon. He was my standard beat stick where if I was in a pinch and needed to get over something, Leviathan Dragon would be my go-to. I mean, at 2500 when he comes out from the material detach, it's not a laughable figure, so I will probably be changing one of them out for a Shockmaster, but until I get the card I can't actually add it into the extra deck, but yeah, it's in there for now. So, and no deck would be complete if they run level 3s anymore without this card. Acid Golem has ridiculously high stats, but his negative effects are very punishing if you can't get rid of him or have him killed before his effects come off. But that card is more of a go-to when you're pushing for game anyway, so yeah, that's the main use for that in my deck. So we'll go on to the rank 4s. I'm running 1 Zen Maester. He's a reasonably good level 4 for what he does. He's mainly a wind-up effect recycler. Just means I can use Rabbit's effect to banish another wind-up that may be in trouble by the end of the turn, and then use Zen Maester's effect to flip the rabbit face down and then face up at the end of the turn, so he has protection as well. It's a really useful card for that fact. Run 1 Photon Papilloperative. So a really useful card in wind-ups because it allows you to use Magician's effect to special summon a rat in defense, so that you can use Papilloperative's effect to put it into attack mode to actually be able to use Rat's effect on the same turn it was summoned by a Magician. But it also can be useful to flip face up annoying cards on the other side of the field, which you don't want to run into without actually knowing what it is. But yeah, other than that, it's a really useful card. So this is probably one of the cards that a lot of other people may not run, but Bahamut Shark is a really good card in wind-ups. The fact that you can get 2 sharks out ridiculously easily allows you to go into this card a fair bit. It's 2600 as well, which is a fairly high attack rating for a rank 4 monster, but yeah, it's probably one of the strongest cards in my deck that's stock attack for what it does. So yeah, and the added bonus of being able to bring out, say, a Leviathan Dragon and itself in the one turn is relatively useful. Run 1 copy of Wind-Up Arsenals in Mayo as well. He is probably the ultimate in back row hate for wind-ups. It's just 1 material to destroy 2 face-down cards, and you can destroy a face-down monster and one of their face-down back rows if you happen to be lucky enough to have that situation, which is just a nightmare for your opponent. They absolutely hate that card. I think I've had this particular card is almost always hit with Veiler or any form of destruction cards straight away. It's very hard to actually keep on the field. But yeah, I run an Adrius and a Tyrus, which is pretty well standard for anything that can run level 5s nowadays. Both cards have their uses. I find Adrius is very useful against any form of big monster that you really do not want to deal with. But Tyrus is just, he's a beast. You can't mirror force him. The only way you can get rid of a Tyrus is wait till his materials are gone or hit him with a D-Prison, because his ability to not be destroyed by card effects makes him absolutely annoying to get rid of. And the last card is a Chimeratech Fortress Dragon. Because I run a lot of machines, being my XYZ monsters, it's really hard to sort of not run this card, because if my opponent sides well, usually they side a Cyber Dragon, so it's always good to have it. If they're foolish enough to leave their Cyber Dragon on the field and I can summon up a few machines, I can actually take it and use their Cyber Dragon against them and attack for massive damage. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Let me know what you think, and yeah, I'll catch you next time.